Everyone, we're just giving a few moments for everyone to join, and we'll begin soon.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Let's introduce myself first. Some of you already knows me for a couple of years, of course. My name is Yavor Yanakiev. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Advision IT. I'm an IT and business professional with more than 17 years of experience in different IT areas and technology domains. I'm going to give you just for 2 minutes few words about us as a security MSP. Advanced Vision main focus is on information and communications technologies. We have a focus in our business, and that is the cybersecurity domain, where we offer a complete cyber security stack to our clients. One of these great solutions is Topia that you're going to see during this presentation. That's a vulnerability management solution offering military level of cybersecurity protection. As a business and as a team, we provide boutique IT services and IT management, usually covering technology domains which are used in organizations, especially in fintech, betting, gaming, advisory industry. I mean with that, Linux, Microsoft, database, network administration, cybersecurity system integration. We provide services worldwide, and we have a proven record of building very challenging IT projects from scratch, especially in the cloud. Our main focus and goal is helping our clients in analyzing the key technical aspects in their business and influencing their strategic IT decisions. I just want to let you know that we have implemented a certified management system in accordance with ISO 9001 and ISO 27001 as a company. We have a team of Amazon architects, being also Amazon partners, and quite big experience in the cloud with vendors and cloud providers like SoftLayer, Rackspace, Azure, and many others. As mentioned, we have proven experience in cybersecurity industry, providing services, telecom, betting, gaming, fintech, and I'm happy that we have many happy clients over these years. The topics for this webinar is presenting a unified cloud-based vulnerability management solution of Vicarious. The solution is named Topia. What you're gonna see how a single vulnerability can destroy your business, and we're gonna show you. We're gonna be talking about real breaches under the microscope. We're going to also present why unified vulnerability management platform is actually is a must these days, and especially days after COVID-19. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Mr. Roy Cohen. He's one of the co-founders and VP Sales of Vicarious. He's a cybersecurity expert with many years of experience in offensive and defensive software. Advision IT is integrating the Topia solution already quite successfully. What I want to say is that the solution is extremely innovative, offering something really outstanding on the market, especially its feature to provide zero-day protection that will be demonstrated during today's session by Roy. Make a note that a recorded version of this webinar will be available, and we will provide further documentation and videos at a later stage. Also, all participants of that webinar, we're going to offer you a free trial account if you want, so you can test the Topia solution at least for 1 month. And the last, but also very important, we really want to hear from you, so please use the chat section or to ask any questions. We try to answer them after the presentation of Roy or later by email or a call. So Roy, it's in your hands to start the presentation.
Thank you so much, Yavor. Just a few words about our partnership with Advanced Vision. So we are proud to partner with such a professional team of experts doing very well, very proficient in this space, and also when integrating Topia to companies, we recommend Advanced Vision because of the experience. So thank you, Yavor, also for this opportunity. And I'll begin by presenting the company. First of all, Vikaus is a cybersecurity company who founded by 3 experts from cybersecurity industry. Michael, which is our CEO, is a veteran. His company got acquired by Microsoft in the field of DLP, data leakage prevention. As for our CTO and myself have been working for an endpoint security company that got acquired by CyberArk. The company today got 20 professionals working for us. Some of them got experience from top secret units, got vast experience in cybersecurity, research, machine learning, you name it. And we are proud to help companies to secure their infrastructure end to end. For today's session, as Yavor mentioned, we're going to show how a single unified platform can help companies efficiently reduce the risk of their company. We're going to discuss 2 case studies that actually happened. Some of them are actually colleagues of mine that got hit. Afterwards, they called us for assistance. So we're going to examine 2 incidents. But feel free, as Yavor mentioned, throughout the session, ask questions. I'll try to pick them, in real time as much as I can. And without further ado, let us begin. So let's begin by presenting kind of the challenges that companies are facing today. These numbers you see here are done by a company called SolarWinds. They basically interviewed a few hundreds of CISOs all over the world, and they named some of the key challenges they're having, CISOs and CIOs. The challenges they saw first is that patching cost increases over the time. And why is that? Patching is more expensive, is longer to install. It's more complex. It affects more things. I'm not sure how many of you have ever tried to patch a Java application on a production machine. Sometimes it doesn't work out that well as we wish. And the costs also include the rollback. Maybe it's required. Maybe we need to revert it from a backup. There are many things we need to do in order to successfully implement a patch. There is longer downtime because more things are integrated. So a single patch can affect things we haven't anticipated. The costs of companies is growing over the years. And why is that? Because we don't have the appropriate tools in our belt. We don't have the right tools to control and to actually manage the devices we see. With today's pandemic, with the COVID, a lot of our clients, which were, let's call it more traditional, and everything was on-premise, including governments, including critical infrastructure, including financial institutes, which our clients needed to shift from complete on-premise environment to work from home. And to some of them, it was like a complete earthquake for them because they were not adjusted for that. Basically, what they need to do within a very short period of time to get visibility for the remote computers and to get the ability to control it. Because even if you know there is a problem, you need to take an action. You need to reduce the risk because some of these employees connect over VPN and they are basically in your network, but they are not under your control, which is a big challenge. Patches are very complex, again, to implement. I'm not saying the one which are simple MSIs. There are ones that are requiring very complex configuration changes. So altogether, it's a very big challenge companies are facing today. It's very hard to prioritize, even if you know there is a vulnerability. And every other day we hear about this application got breached and that application that got hacked. Microsoft vulnerabilities don't never stop of coming. It's very hard to focus on the most critical threats for the company, because if I'm using an application and you guys are using an application and they both got a vulnerability, the risk may be different. For instance, we have a client which before they went to the COVID break, their employees got a laptop. They got both Microsoft Teams application installed and Zoom, okay? And at that time, a very critical vulnerability by Zoom was published. And imagine the IT, they now needed to connect to the remote computers somehow. They need to update the patches. Sometimes it fails, they need to try it again and again. And when they shifted to work with Topia, with our product, we told them, look, 80% of your time is not needed, because yes, there is a vulnerability. The Zoom can be breached, but 80% of your employees working from home, they don't use it. So maybe you should spend your time and allocate your resources elsewhere, which makes perfect sense. Lastly, some of the challenges these IT professionals and security professionals mentioned is the lack of visibility. You need to know at any given point in time, what is your status? Having a scan once every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, is something that is a periodical. The 1 minute after you did the vulnerability scan, for example, or the asset inventory scan, it's not effective. We know companies, as they grow larger, have more and more applications that are more dynamic. There is a lot of shadow IT for companies, and it's very hard to know at any given point in time, what is your status? Because if you have the information, you can take an action. It's something which goes hand in hand. One last figure before we proceed is that I wanted to show you that 60% of breaches related to vulnerabilities abused could have been prevented. And why is that? There was a patch, okay? There was a mitigation. There was an official thing the company could have done to prevent the attack, but they didn't have the right tools who can tell them, look, out of all the noise, this is what you should do. And that's why you should do it. Something which makes sense and not just a number. So that's in general some of the challenges you also are facing, I guess. Mainly, again, how in today's world, how we can do it in a cost-effective way to reduce the risk. This is, I think, the holy grail of any security product. And let's discuss a bit about Topia and how it works. Generally, when you use the product, you are benefiting from 3 very powerful engines that eventually solve this challenge end to end. It means that we can identify the vulnerability, we can analyze that, then we can do the prioritization and take an action. The analysis part is compound of a full continuous asset inventory. At any point in time, you can know all of the applications that you are having. Imagine now someone working from home, downloading this application that in turn can be compromised. You want to know it at the first moment, not a week, a month, a year later. Once we mapped all of the applications, we are telling you which of them are can be compromised based on known attacks, what we know is a CVE or a vulnerability management process. It's all bundled. It's real time. This is the key value proposition here. It's real-time visibility. You don't need to guess or to scan or to wonder what is going on. When you log into the system, as I'm going to show you in the demo, you know exactly what is going on. The last thing and what we are innovating here is the ability to predict what will be compromised in the future. How we do that? Basically, we have, as I said, we have a team of researchers that are always considering and analyzing how things can be breached. Basically, we are mapping the genes, the vulnerable pieces of code, actual genes inside the applications that you are using. And we can give you like a heads up. Look, there's something here which is maybe customized, maybe even an application that you are developed back home. But there is no public vulnerability, I hope, at least, if it means that if there is a public vulnerability, something went really, really bad. So we can take even your own proprietary application and unique software that you are using and tell you if there's something inside that in the future can get compromised. And we'll let you know it beforehand. This is the advantage we can give you, which is a complete change of mindset, because so far for vulnerability management, look only what was hacked in the past. And we give you like a glimpse into the future. The next step is to prioritize the threats. Eventually, there are so many of them. There are over 1,000 vulnerabilities disclosed every month. Now, multiply that with your computers, multiply that with the amount of applications you are using. It comes to tens of thousands in the very least. So we need to focus. As I said, we don't have enough people. We don't have enough time. We need to focus on the most critical threats for your unique properties of the company. And the way we do that, imagine a big brain which collects information from the outside of the company. For example, if one vulnerability has an exploit, there is a piece of code that can abuse that. If a specific vulnerability has been weaponized, it's even worse. It means that a vulnerability got actually exploited somewhere else in the world. So we are subscribed to these kind of feeds, and we show you what of the applications they are using already got hacked elsewhere. So we collect external information. And the unique thing is that we also monitor 24/7 the applications that you are using, and we check if there is a match. What do I mean by a match? Imagine every vulnerability, if I'm trying to illustrate that, like a recipe for a cake. You know, you cannot make a cake, it depends, but you cannot make a cake without dough, without eggs, without sugar. So we take the ingredients for the vulnerability, and we check if they meet inside your company. Imagine one vulnerability requires high privileges. So if you're using an application that doesn't run with a high privilege user, it's very unlikely that to be hacked. So the risk is far lower. But as I said at the beginning, we don't have the right tools up until Topia that can tell you, look, there is a vulnerability, this is the recipe, and the way that your users are using the application, there is a match. That's why you should do something about it, not before. It doesn't make sense before because we need to validate it. This is a continuous validation of the vulnerabilities that you have. So the prioritized goal is eventually reduce the amount of work you need to do, and we try to help you to do it efficiently. And eventually, it's not all about telling you these are all of your problems, good luck with that. We also want to take an action. In taking an action, it's a crucial part of the process because it's not enough to just know what problems we have. There are a lot of systems that do that. We want to reduce it, and we want to reduce it without spending, as we saw before, 70% of our team around fixing, maintenance, and all of that. So we can do it using Topia in two ways. The first way is the easiest, most intuitive patch management process there is. I mean that we have the biggest database of patches you can deploy. Over 400 applications that you can easily click a button and upgrade to the latest version. We also support operating system updates. So we give you first like the operating system and third-party application, the biggest, most well-known applications in the market. So it's very easy to cover the vast majority of the apps that you are using. In a single click of a button, you can basically upgrade the entire corporate. But what we are also bringing to the table, it's our unique patchless protection mechanism. And what it does, basically, I will show in the few slides. A few words about that is that we are doing memory protection. It means that when you run the application which got a vulnerability, we basically wrap it and protect it against exploitation attempts. But more technically speaking, I will show it in the next few slides. So altogether, the benefit of using the product is gaining a visibility for all of the chain of events. We have vulnerable application, which of them are relevant for our company, and let's take an action. This is kind of the process. It makes sense, I think, for everyone. Reducing the risk in an efficient way because there will be always new vulnerabilities. We see that if you're going to see the graph of vulnerabilities, it's always going up. Every year, there are more and more vulnerabilities. So we need to reduce the risk in an efficient way. We want to increase the efficiency of and empower our customers. Technically speaking, and also feel free to ask some questions in the chat if something is not clear. In order for us to predict what can be compromised in the future, we need to know what is out there. So basically, the first process is, this is why we have a few unique intellectual property components, algorithms. This is one of them. For us to know what is an application or where is it installed, we have a unique algorithm which maps and connects the dots. So for here, we have an example we can all understand. Firefox, one of the top web browsers in the internet. And for us to know there is a problem inside, first, we must know where the executables, where the binaries are located on the machine that you are using. Why is that? When you have a vulnerability, eventually somewhere inside these binaries, maybe in the exe, maybe in the DLL, maybe if it's a Linux SO, SH, in the compiled binaries, there is a problem. When you do a patch, basically what you do is just replacing the faulty code with a new one, the faulty executable. So for us to predict what can be compromised in the future, we need to know first what is an application and where it is deployed. Once we do that, we can look inside and do our predictive analysis. This is the part which we can tell you what's going to happen in the future and what will be compromised in the future. So in this process, we do first the old, let's call it the legacy world of the vulnerability management. Yeah, if something got hacked, Zoom, Microsoft Office, if it's public CVE, public vulnerability, you will know about it, of course, and it's real time. We always are synced with the biggest database repository of vulnerabilities in the world. So there is no gap, but also we can give you heads up into the future, as I said, basically reverse engineering continuously the applications that you're using, finding the crucial parts inside that can get compromised and let you know about it. This is the true benefit of it. Once we found these unknown vulnerabilities, basically it's time to prioritize it. So as I said, we are also going to see that, but we are mapping data points and connecting them to your vulnerabilities. For instance, we see here, like if a vulnerability got tweeted, it's more likely to be trendy, to be even exploited. If a vulnerability got famous, so to speak, it's more likely to be abused and breached. This is when we are looking on the outside. But again, what we are innovating here is also looking on the inside. So we are mapping your infrastructure, we are mapping your applications, we are mapping the usage. And when you combine that to very crucial data points, you can really prioritize the most critical threats. And I will show that in a very few moments. Eventually, it's all about pausing and fixing stuff. As I said, we support patching. We have built-in patch management. You can easily, select and reduce the risk in a few moments. Things that have been taking years, in years before it had been taking hours or even days or months to do, you can do it very easily using a platform. And for the cases you cannot, because there is no patch, you don't have any allowed downtime. Maybe the developers don't allow you to, upgrade the Java or the Python package, for example. There are many cases in our day-to-day activity that we cannot do as we wish, even though it's the right thing to do. Sometimes we cannot because of many reasons that I mentioned. So our patches protection, as you can see here, basically does two things. First, when the vulnerable executable is loaded to the memory, we are shielding it against exploitation attempts, memory injection, scraping, these kind of things. Second, we also, inside the memory space of the vulnerable binaries, imagine here we got the DLL. When it's loaded into the memory and we identified before there is a problem inside, we actually can wrap these small pieces of code in memory and either notify you there is an exploit or even block it in real time. So the benefit, if you are comparing this to a patch, when you patch something, you will never know someone is trying to hack it, to exploit it. As for patchless, you will see, as simple as that. So just a few more slides about what's in it for you, and then we'll discuss a bit about the case studies and the things that actually happen, the actual breaches. So first of all, there is a single source of truth. There's no need to do a scan in one system. Maybe someone needs to prioritize or to think about it to make the right call. And another team, another person needs to patch. You have a single solution, a single platform, unified, cloud ready, you name it. So it's one source of truth. As I said, we are cloud native and cloud first. Basically, it means that it doesn't matter where your endpoints and assets are located, on-premise, cloud, at home, Starbucks, doesn't really matter. You can really control and see at any given point in time what is going on. Also, another advantage of it, for those of you who've done patching, let's call it, with using the legacy systems, you don't really need to tell and call your employee, even call the CEO, tell him, I need you to connect to VPN to get the latest patch, and then you're going to kill the bandwidth of the company. The patches are being shipped over the internet. So you are saving the bandwidth of the company because it's no longer needed. So basically, the machine will connect directly to the internet, pull the right patch, and we have a very long, complex mechanism to ensure you are downloading and installing the right patch. We don't have enough time for this session to tell what's happening when you don't install the right patch. But trust me, this is a very nasty story you don't want to deal with. And eventually, the holy grail of that is how we can contextualize the problems, because showing you there are endless amount of problems, it's not effective, not for you, not for us, not for the security of the company. Everything needs to be done with a context. Every vulnerability that you have in your company needs to be assessed under the unique properties of the company. If you are a gaming company, and if you are a financial company, and if you are a critical infrastructure company, the risks are different. You cannot avoid it. The risks are different. So you cannot treat the same vulnerability in the same way for different companies. It doesn't make sense. And it's funny to say, but there are very few companies who are actually looking inside the company and telling you, okay, you're running a production machine, very critical for the company, containing sensitive data. There is a vulnerability. This is why you should fix it. Okay, this is something it's very straightforward, but it's very hard to accomplish, and we're doing so. So again, feel free to ask for any questions. I would like to start a bit with some case studies that actually happened. This one, by the way, is one of my friends. He actually called me after the incident happened. I wanted to help him, but it was no longer relevant. So giving you some briefing about the incident. Basically, there was a company in the field of insurance, which has about 150 employees. It's not a small insurance firm, not the biggest, of course. There are a few bigger companies in Israel, but they're dealing with very, let's call it VIP clients, okay? So it's a very lucrative, very well-known in Israel insurance company that got breached quite a while ago, I think it was around, March, as I can see. Now I will share with you the story, what exactly happened there, and the outcome of it. So this company, like everyone, when they shifted from complete on-premise environment, none of the employees, even the CEO, could connect to the company outside of the corporate network. And when the COVID situation happened, basically they rushed the process. They installed VPN all over. They bought the first VPN, misconfigured, misaligned with the security policy, gave away, laptops for the ones that didn't have it. For the ones that did, they basically installed a VPN client, and that's it. And as far as I remember, at that time in March, it was about a month into the more, upscaling COVID situation, where they had the incident. Basically, one of the C-level directors got an email. Okay, he was working from home. He got an email containing a malicious PDF. Okay, so we see here the vulnerability. They used a PDF reader application. They had a vulnerability which allowed interns, once this C-level director double-click the email and open it, it abused a vulnerability inside the PDF reader and basically hijacked the computer. So the attacker was able to, first he got into the memory space of the PDF reader, then he basically got a hold. So he was able to recover from a reboot situation. So first he got inside. Second, he created an ability to recover restarts. And then when he waited there, basically there was a connection to a command and control server. Once he got there, he basically communicated back, okay? And the operator was, imagine, in front of the screen of this director. And he basically waited a few days until he connected back. It was over the weekend, when he connected back to the corporate over VPN, because, again, as I said, the IT was not ready for that. They basically they wanted to give admin rights for the remote employees. They gave them, and mistakenly, they gave very high privileges for these users. So when the C-level director connected to the VPN, it allowed the attacker, which was now, again, residing inside the computer of this director, to hop inside the corporate. And basically what they did is that they got into their insurance company. Again, they're saving, everything was digitalized. They were basically deleting their file server, and they also went to their DR site and they deleted the backups. Okay, this is all began from this director, which got, again, a VPN connectivity, unrestricted, vulnerable applications, nothing that IT could have done, and high privileges. So they got inside, they deleted the file server, they deleted the backups, and then, to put a cherry on the top, they basically encrypted all of the computers. So the company was locked out, no data. Imagine now customers are calling them and they don't have, the database was deleted. And again, it's not recoverable. So essentially the company, luckily for them, someone actually, copied it over a USB, but they were very close to be on a complete shutdown because all of the information have been going, digital. No backups, no nothing, unless this USB copy, which was a few months before. So they lost, in sense, they lost some information for these few months. But they were very close to basically being shut down because, again, imagine your clients coming in and telling you, where's my data, what happened? There's nothing you can do about. So some takeaways for this specific case study is that first we need to run backups. I think it's quite obvious. And if you have a backup, try to segregate that. Try to put it away from any potential breach. Think like a hacker, so to speak. If someone is already in your network, how you can make sure he's not getting to your crown jewels. Second, do not provide admin rights to remote employees. I know it's hard. I know sometimes they're going to drive you crazy about it, but we need to avoid this temptation. We need to make sure they're not getting it. By the way, using Topia, you can see in an instant which of your computers are running with admin rights. So you can also cover the shadow IT on the corporate. Make sure you are updated. Eventually, this story wouldn't have happened if this PDF reader was not compromised. We can discuss about the VPN connectivity, we discuss about the privileges, but it all began with a vulnerable application. That's about it. And also, we need to have this continuous visibility. Because this director had admin rights, he could install everything he wanted. So there was no control, effective control for the IT. We need to know, even if we give admin rights, we need to know something wrong is happening. Imagine you cannot scan a remote computer, or you can, but it's going to be very, very hard and complex. So we need to know about it at the time being, not wait a few months ahead until this director is going to come into the corporate, and luckily we're going to scan it. It's very unlikely to happen. So we need to have continuous visibility. So that's for about the first example. Again, I'm happy to take any question if there are. The second one is a bit more known. I'm not using, again, company names, but I guess for those of you who are aligned with the latest news, maybe you heard of it. It's a very big IT services company that got breached. It's, as you can see, 29,000 employees. It's not, again, you can bet they got all the standards and everything is top notch. What happened is that one of the corporate employees, basically one of the IT, which is a very risky, again, because when an IT employee gets getting compromised, there are some chances he's going to have a very high privileges. So that's what happened there. Basically, there was a phishing campaign, a very targeted phishing campaign, targeting the IT employees. And what happened, there was an exploit kit that have been used, basically abusing Adobe Flash Player, as we can see. So this company, again, for those of you, we can do, again, after this webinar, for those of you who would like to continue, we can elaborate on that. Basically, what happened there was that once the hackers got access to the employee's computer, they in turn also got and hijacked some of their remote branches. And basically, in that case, it was a combination of ransomware and Bitcoin mining, kind of both. Luckily for them, no information, as far as we know, got stolen, and at least as much as it was published. But again, it all began with, in this case, also a vulnerable application that was not up to date and was abused. So this huge company with all the standards and all the, let's call it, knowledge in the world, eventually with a targeted attack, have been breached because, of a Flash player. So some takeaways from that. We need to educate users. I know that there are a lot of people are talking about it. It's super crucial. You know, with giving enough time, people can be you know, exploited and hacked, so to speak. Password complexity. Yes, there was an issue there with also very weak passwords that got hacked. So please do make sure. Also, when you are giving away laptops and letting people connect from home, make sure your GPO policy is aligned, that you are not allowing them to log in after a few attempts. I know it may be opening some tickets for your end, but make sure, you know, we need to always to think about what will happen if, you know, someone will compromise that computer. Make sure, again, security updates are applied, and prioritize the threats. I know that Adobe Flash Player could be something that usually neglected. Maybe you will focus on other things like the latest Zero Logon, for those of you who have heard of it. But using the right tools and the right knowledge can help you really focus on the most critical threats. And in this case, the Flash Player have been used frequently, running with high privileges. So yeah, we should have fixed it before tens of other things. So this is kind of about it. And I think it's a good time to go for a demo. So let's do that. So this is our dashboard. And again, I'm happy to take any questions as they come. This is our dashboard, basically aligned around the concept of how we can reduce the risk in the most efficient way with our ability. We can see the system. Once you log in, there's a lot of information to the left, how many applications we have discovered, how many computers we are covering, what is their security score, how many vulnerabilities, all of the very important information we need to know when we come to, you know, to focus on the risk that we have. But a threat, it's not enough. Having a vulnerability is not enough, because we need to have a potential. We need to have something to tell us, okay, this is what we should do. And this is where we have our X tags coming into place. These X tags are basically aligned with some of the biggest, you know, some of the standards there are in cybersecurity, OWASP, SANS, and so on and so forth. Basically, we are taking the properties of the vulnerabilities, we break them to small pieces, and we check if they meet, if they're actually happening in your corporate. For example, we can have things like looking on the outside. If there is an exploit, this is a repository we collect information from all the time. If it has been tweeted, also we collect that information. But looking on the inside, we can see, for instance, high usage. High usage shows that some of our applications, not all of them, only a subset, only some of them, we see 10%, are actually being used. So these ones are more likely to be breached than others that, yes, there may be a vulnerability, that's a fact, I cannot change it, but it's not used, it cannot get compromised, or it will be very hard to compromise it. For instance, another example, as I told you about the shadow IT, we have the admin usage. So in a single click, I can see all the applications that are running with an admin and all the computers that are using an admin. So imagine how valuable is that also for a hacker to know. So we can give you this information beforehand, and then you can use that to make sure, okay, these applications that are using high privileges, we need to do something about them. So I'm not expecting you to click all of the buttons. We do that for you. Basically, behind each and every X tag you see here, there is a weight which can either increase or decrease the risk. By the way, it's not fully adjustable. We can also change that based on your risk modeling. And eventually, we have 10 applications we need to do something about. By the way, this is the entire scope of the corporate. We can, for instance, focus on the computers. I created a group of the workstations, the people that are working from home. I want to see the risk only for them. You can see all of the screen now getting recalculated accordingly. And we can now, in a click of a button, see what's going down on the remote employees. What is their status? Is there something now I should take an action for? So this is basically how we can see that. You saw that I just generated a report. Again, in a few seconds, we get a full executive summary report, rich with information helping you to focus on the most critical threats. We have the top 0-day families, how many vulnerabilities, again, only for the workstations, not for the entire corporate. What are my top critical vulnerabilities? I can click here, and very nicely, it's going to show you the vulnerability and all the threats, as you can see here, very nicely and very intuitive, and all of the remaining information that is needed. So Now, without further ado, let's proceed with taking an action, because knowing we have problems, there's nothing new about it. Let's do something, actually to reduce the risk. So I'll focus on these two examples. Let's start with Wireshark, because I think we all know and familiar with this application. So we identified Wireshark to be a high-risk application. And why is that? It's very easy to go to the Topia analysis. We have all the versions we found in the company. We can click here and see, of course, the computers that are relevant. And we found for Wireshark that, look, there are 0 days, there are unknown vulnerabilities. This is the heads up I told you about before, if you remember. This is like what there is inside Wireshark that can be compromised in the future based on previous attacks. And this is done by the reverse engineering. So we can give you this heads up. It's also something you can filter very easy to see which of them got something inside that maybe you should do something about. Additionally, we found there is an exploit. Okay, so there is somewhere over the internet a piece of code that can compromise a Wireshark. So the risk is a bit higher than other applications. Yes, there is a patch, which is great. There are known vulnerabilities. You can see all of them here very nicely. And lastly, there are new vulnerabilities. So this is something we should be aware of also. New vulnerabilities in potential is something that we need to address accordingly. We need to know exactly how to treat that. And maybe it's something trendy we need to know about. So this is also a very good filter, a very good X-tag that we have. But eventually, we don't expect you to go online and go like in the past, go CVE by CVE, do a full research, spend I don't know how many hours and try to understand what you do. You have a recommended treatment. You have the list of things you should do in order to reduce the risk. So we see the first thing we recommend is basically install a patch. How do we do that? You can select the application very easily, click on the update, and all of the relevant applications, all of the relevant computers will be selected, and then we can upgrade. We can go and select on the update, and we will see the status as it progresses. Long story short, it will be downloaded, installed to the latest version, and after a few moments you will see that as a new version, secure, and there is no risk. So this is how we can secure things without the hassle of research and searching and testing. It's all, have been tested for you. Now, there are scenarios where you have an application, but there is no patch. There is nothing we can do. I can show you here that this version of Postgre, unfortunately, we do not have a patch that we can deploy. But as you can see, there is no problem. There is no problem because we can do patches protection. What is that? It's basically the process of protecting the application in memory. How it's being accomplished, we can select the application. We can do one of two, either monitor. Monitor just notifies you on attack, and we'll show you in a few moments how an attack looks like. So you can either monitor or you can protect. Protect basically wraps the application in the memory, as I said, and then prevents these exploitation attempts. Just to show you how that looks like, so let's go to the event log. Let's quickly filter by the attack process memory abuse. And here we simulated some attacks on password manager. As you know, having a password manager hack is something which we all will would like to avoid. So we have a PowerShell, which basically tried to get to inject into or to get access to the memory space of KeePass and to steal passwords. KeePass is a password manager application. So having our password manager application abused is something, again, we would like to avoid. So basically, that is how the attack look like. It's prevented, you're secure. Anytime this attack will happen again, it will be prevented because we stop the exploitation in memory. So again and again and again, you will be covered. So this is in regards to that. Also, I wanted to show, we discussed before about patching. So let's filter by patch installation. And we got here an example like .NET. We can put our mouse and see that one patch succeeded. We can see also for the remaining. If we would like to have further information, of course, we can go inside. And also we can download the report. So we are giving you very easy ways to see what is going on the corporate. Another thing we can do very easily, we have a full patch management screen. Yeah, you can select and install all the patches. Our recommendation to you is only focus on the ones who matter. So you see that immediately, more than 50% of the patches, we tell you, look, there is a problem. It's not, it's a fact. but we don't recommend you to install it now because it's not of a high risk. So we can save you potential tickets, we can save you potential time, reverting back, customers calling, end users calling. You don't want to be there. So focus only on the ones which we recommended you to, to have a risk to do something about. Same goes for the operating system. So you can have all the KBs needed. By the way, also very important, instead of blindly going and installing all the KBs that there are, you see here a very nice example that there is a KB, okay? There is a patch recommended by Microsoft, but there are no CVEs that are going to be resolved. Maybe you can do it afterwards. Maybe you can postpone this patch, focus on others. Here we got some patches that are more critical. Here we got others that are more critical. So we help you, to focus on the most critical things, and let's reduce the noise. Let's focus on the most crucial things that we have. So that's in the sense of reducing the risk and doing it in an easy manner. We can also have a very efficient group management for those of you who got a bit a bigger scale of environments. We can create groups, for instance, staging groups or testing groups, or ones which are related to our corporate, like servers or whatsoever, and so on. So these can be accomplished by IP addresses or use, if relevant. We can filter by operating system, and we can filter by dynamic factors. Imagine having the ability to focus only on the computers that got admin rights. In a click of a button, these are all of the computers that are using an admin. We have a few CentOS, Windows, we cover we have a very wide coverage. So you can easily see which of your computers are running with an admin, and maybe you would like to do something about. Maybe you would like to patch them. Maybe you would like to patchlessly protect them. Maybe you would like to just keep track of things that make sure you're stable. So it's something that you can easily create a group and then do whatever you'd like to do. Associate a policy, generate reports, you name it. Again, the goal here for everyone is to reduce the noise and the vulnerable applications that you have on the premise, and we want to do it in the most efficient way. So in general, that's kind of a high level of the system. We are having, as I said, we have a very significant growth in the past, also in the COVID days. We're working with some of Fortune 500 companies, financial institutes, technology companies, critical infrastructure. If you would like to see and evaluate the product, as Yavor mentioned, we have a free trial. You can see, what you know, what you don't know. And with the assistance of Advanced Vision, we'd be happy to work with you and to have a follow-up call to show you exactly what is going on. It's a few minutes to set up. Yavor, maybe would like to add some things.
Great presentation, Roy. Thank you very much. If you have any questions during the webinar, please now is the moment to ask. I have 2 or 3 questions which I have been asked before the webinar from some of the participants. One of the questions is, so what type of, what is the size of the companies that solution covers? It can cover an enterprise with endless number of workstations and servers, and also SMB business. So it's not a solution that is just focusing to the SMB business. It's scaling fantastically. So even big enterprises can be covered well. Same applies for small businesses, because as we know, I mean, especially let's say in the fintech sector, I can say like in Malta, there are smaller fintech companies which having like 50, let's say, or 100 users, but I mean, companies which worth a lot and should have the same protection. So what is SMB, what is enterprise is difficult to count nowadays, but the solution is scaling fantastically. As Roy mentioned, aside from the webinar and the fact that he has shown to you the solution, we are ready to present to you individual demo session. We have a lab and we can demonstrate to you even creating particular case studies that eventually would fit your environment. For example, you can tell us, show us how, for example, MySecure should be protected, or MS Secure whatsoever, as an application. We will be able to do that in our lab environment. from the other aspect, I want to say that the other question, which we have been also asked, how the licensing and how the pricing works. You can purchase license per seat, or let's say per server or per host. In such a license, usually there is a limited number of hours which are included from our side, you know, as a security MSP. So if you need some help during integration, during your ongoing operations, we will be able to help you out. And you can also opt for just buying the licenses without actually involving the security MSP. So there are practically two options. It depends on your strategy. These are the three questions that I have been asked. What I would like just to add is that the integration, it's very intuitive. And if you want to test the solution, we will offer you free of charge integration time. So our engineers will be able to help you test the solution even in your environment if you choose to test this out on a set of servers. That's from my side.
Yeah, I would add to that, Yavor, also about integration, that last week we had a deployment with, let's call it an enterprise. We can name it an enterprise, a company with about 5,000 computers. And deployment basically started and ended in the same day. We have a utility. We are very easily integrated. Within a day, you can basically finish with deployment, and then with the assistance of Advanced Vision, we can basically immediately, you know, get to business, you know, get our hands dirty and reduce the risk. So it's something very easy to integrate.
Absolutely. Also, we are applying a DevOps approach in IT operations, so we can practically, propagate the agents and install the solution very fast also. So even with the tools that we're using. So thank you very much, Roy. I don't see any questions at the moment in the chat. So I think we can conclude or give another 1 minute in case someone wants to ask. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending the webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me by email or by calling me. You have all of you my contacts at least, or contacts at Vision IT. I'm sure Roy would be happy also to help and to answer any technical or business-related questions. As we mentioned, the solution is great for regulated businesses like betting, gaming, fintech. So we can help you explore the options and to see how you can integrate that solution in your environment and stay protected and healthy. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Again, as Ivo mentioned, I will be happy to see you in person after the session, on one-on-one or one-on few sessions that we're gonna have. And yeah, as you saw, it's very easy to integrate and very easy to deploy. So we'd be happy to show you. Also, in this very meeting, we can do that. So it's up to you. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Yavor.
Thank you.
That's it from my end.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. Thank you.
Great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.